Hi folks, thank you for clicking the video today. I hope you find this a help to you. Again, my name is Mike Eaton. Just want to come to you, give you some words of encouragement today. And I want to talk to you from the book of Joshua, Joshua chapter 24. And we'll start in verse number 1 and go through verse number 15. Just to give you a little backstory to this, Joshua has now he's led his people across the Jordan River. He's crossed into Canaan, and he's watched God do some miraculous things and delivered a lot of cities into their hands. He's provided land and things for his people. But the children of Israel, they continue to look back to Egypt and the other gods and kind of draw away from them. And Joshua is trying to remind them of a few things here. So in verse number 1, it says, "And Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, and called for the elders of Israel, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and they presented themselves before God. And Joshua said unto all the people, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood in old time, even Terah, the father of Abraham, and the father of Nachor, and they served other gods. And I took your father Abraham from the other side of the flood, and led him throughout all the land of Canaan, and multiplied his seed, and gave him Isaac. And I gave unto Isaac Jacob and Esau, and I gave unto Esau Mount Seir to possess it. But Jacob and his children went down into Egypt. I sent Moses and Aaron, and I plagued Egypt according to that which I did among them, and afterwards I brought you out. And I brought your fathers out of Egypt, and ye came into the sea, and the Egyptians pursued after your fathers with chariots and horsemen unto the Red Sea. And when they cried unto the Lord, he put darkness between you and the Egyptians, and brought the sea upon them, and covered them. And your eyes have seen what I have done in Egypt, and ye dwelt in the wilderness a long season. And I brought you into the land of the Amorites, which dwelt on the other side Jordan, and they fought with you, and I gave them into your hand, that you might possess their land, and I destroyed them from before you. Then Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, arose and warred against Israel, and sent and called Balaam the son of Beor to curse you. But I would not hearken unto Balaam. Therefore he blessed you still, so I delivered you out of his hand. And ye went over Jordan, and came into Jericho, and the men of Jericho fought against you, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Girgashites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I delivered them into your hand. And I sent the hornet before you, which drave them out from before you, even the two kings of the Amorites, but not with thy sword, nor with thy bow. And I have given you a land which ye did not labor, and cities which ye built not, and ye dwell in them. Of the vineyards and olive yards which ye planted not do ye eat." So God's reminding them of everything that he's done for them. And no matter what has come against them, he says, all these people have come against them. They've plotted all kinds of different things against you. They've attacked you. They've resisted you. And I've delivered you out of every single one of them. He was reminding them of this today. Verse number 14. He says, "Now therefore fear the Lord." This is Joshua talking. He says, "Fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth. And put away the gods which your fathers and in Egypt, and which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord." He says, I want you to serve in sincerity and in truth. I want to talk a little more about this here in a little bit. And I want to compare this to Judas. Kind of take this over to the New Testament, and let's talk about Judas for a little bit. And I want to compare Joshua and Judas. Judas was a disciple, and if you read the Gospels, you'll find that each one of the disciples, Jesus would come and he would say, "Follow me." He would come to them and he would say, "Follow me." We call him. I believe the Bible doesn't tell us about the call of Judas, but I believe that he was called just like the other disciples, just like I was called. And I remember sitting in church one day, and God called on me, and I realized that I was in an awful, awful condition, that I knew that I was going to hell. I knew I deserved to go to hell. And I called upon God, and He saved me. So I'm going to talk about Judas for a second. So Judas, I believe, heard the call of God, just like the other disciples. Judas attended every meeting that Jesus went to. He was there for everyone. He was faithful. He was so trusted that they gave him watch over the money. Watch over the money. Now Jesus was not surprised. He knew exactly what Jesus was doing with the money, his intentions were with the money. But he allowed these things to happen. Judas even saw the miracles. He saw Jesus restore the sight to the blind. He saw Jesus heal the lame and the leprous, the diseased. He saw Jesus raise people from the dead. He saw Jesus feed multitudes at one time. And surely he had to know that there was nothing that was impossible for God. But Judas and Joshua both had a choice. They both had a choice, just as I have a choice and as you have a choice. And it's found in Joshua chapter 24, verse number 15. It says, in verse number 14, he says, I want you to serve the Lord in sincerity and truth. But look at verse number 15, and if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom ye will serve, whether the gods which your forefathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the little gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. You want to serve the gods of the ones of the land you dwell in now, the ones that God just pushed out of the way, the one that they resisted against you, and God said if what is impossible for me, and He's given you all this land and stuff, and you want to go serve those gods? But look at Joshua's response. He says, "But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Judas had a choice who to serve. But we can tell by the accounts in the New Testament that Judas was after money. Judas was after the things that he could get in this life here today. Judas was more concerned not about eternity, not about what's going to happen in the future when I die. He was more concerned about, I'm going to live for now and the moment. And isn't that how we have a tendency to live sometimes in this life, and how the TV and the world around us portrays? It said, hey, live for now, enjoy it, just enjoy life to the best you can. The good life is the best life, but it's not lasting. There's no lasting to it. It's temporary as temporary can be. And just the smallest things will upset us. The stock market crashes. There's a famine. There's a Great Depression. People are just hopeless. They have no joy. They live for the next thing they can get. There's no lasting there. There's no lasting joy. There's no lasting peace. But it's found when this. Look at what the children of Israel have gotten brought out of. They were in the wilderness for 40 years before they crossed the promised land. God provided for them every step of the way in that 40 years in a barren place. He gave this multitude of people food, water. Their clothes lasted them 40 years. Their shoes lasted them 40 years. But yet, many of them missed out on that miracle because they were not content. They kept looking back to what they had left in Egypt instead of looking forward to what God had for them. And because they were not looking forward to what God had for them, they missed out on those blessings. I'm afraid sometimes I myself am guilty of not enjoying and being content with things that God has given me for today, and losing the joy that God intends for me to have when I worry about tomorrow. He says, hey, I'm giving you everything you need today. Lean and trust on me. Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Joshua was looking back and seeing everything that God has done for him. And if we can sit here and look back, and I can look back and see the many, many times that God has just provided for me, that he's given me safety, provided for me, and just blessed me more than I truly deserve. And when I look back at that, how can I say I want to go live for this world? I want to go. How can I do anything but serve him? But he says, when you serve it, he says, when you really look back, you'll want to serve him with sincerity and truth. Judas was not serving with sincerity, and he was not serving with truth. He was there with another agenda. He was there for what he could get out of it. Folks, we need to be sincerely and truthfully seeking out. Until the truth is out in front, the truth will set you free. If you hide a lie, it's going to eat you up. God wants us to serve him wholly, sincerely. That means with the heart, a pure heart. He wants us to do it truthfully. Don't hold back. Every time that I've lied has come back and bit me. So, like, I try my best. I can't stand a liar. I try my best not to lie. So I want the best for you too. Live sincerely and truthfully for Jesus Christ. Maybe you've been attending church service. Maybe you've seen God move and do some great things in church and stuff. But what about, are you a Judas or are you a Joshua? I believe Judas is in hell right now. I believe that what an awful thing to witness everything that Jesus had done, to know what he was capable of, and miss the whole point because you were so concerned about what's going on today. If you do not know that you're saved, make today the day that you get it settled with Jesus Christ. Folks, if you have any comments or questions, if I can help you at all, please leave it in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please click the like button and subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.